Check podcasts.
The Bread and Butter Collective is a collection of hospitality professionals working together to help strengthen our industry to build strong culture, community, and sustainability.
I'm Calen McNeil.
And I'm Sam Jones. And this is the Bread and Butter Podcast.
Welcome to the Bread and Butter Podcast. How are you, Sam?
I'm doing really good. I'm really excited to see you.
I know.
It's
It
been
feels like
forever.
we've been on a hiatus.
Well, you've
I think
been
that's
on a
what
hiatus.
the showbiz people call it.
Oh, yeah. Well, the
show's been on
hiatus.
hiatus.
You being away, doing your thing down south.
Yeah, I was away down south. It's interesting because I went through some personal sort of grappling, like turmoil, I guess, whether I was going to go or not.
There?
Yeah, just with everything that's been going on. And I think anybody, and this, I talked to my wife about this too, because, you know, we do a fair amount of traveling, and U.S. is part of that. We went to Austin, Texas, and Philadelphia last year just to go see those spots.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I obviously spend the summer in Vegas for the last 20 years playing poker.
The hottest time of the year.
The hottest time of the year. The best time to be home, too, which is like so stupid because I think only once during COVID 2020, there was no World Series in the summer because it got canceled. And that was the first Canada Day I'd been home for in 20 years because every summer I'm there for the last 20 years.
The fireworks were better in Vegas?
Well, they have July 4th, you know,
Yeah.
so shortly after, but it's not, I mean, none of that is on my sort of like, I don't participate in that when I'm down there either.
Yeah, you're there for a real
purpose,
right?
There just to basically play cards, and you do it 12 hours a day the whole time. So, but this year, obviously, because of what was going on with what's going on there now, like just with ICE and Trump and the politics and, you know, the elbows up kind of thing. And because of where, you know, and I contemplated skipping it. And then I was, you know, I didn't. Obviously, I chose to go. Yeah. But when I go, I mean, it's one of those competitive things. So could I not go? It's not, you know, it's not like I'm going there for a holiday. Like I honestly, like my wife and I talked about it, and we won't be going for vacations or discretionary type events in the States. And that's just our own personal choices. But for competition, and I mean, there's global rankings, there's all this kind of stuff that kind of play in my mind about it. And it's really about competition. And yeah, so I ended up making the decision to go.
Well, it kind of sounds like that's more important than just a trip that you're going to go on just to see the stairs that Sylvester Stallone climbed up in Philadelphia.
Exactly.
Whatever, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's sort of, it's a little bit like work in some aspects.
Well, you treat it like work.
I treat it like work. I go there. I, you know, make my lunch every day. I basically, it's, you know, I don't drink alcohol. You know, it's not a party time for me. It's not a vacation time. It's there where I'm competing and, you know, trying to win money, but also trying to, you know, cash and, you know, there's records, you know, that people keep track of and stats and statistics and all
like
that stuff.
Throughout the
years.
Like
there's world rankings and all that kind of stuff. So
can I ask you where you are on that?
Depends on the game. Like I am top 50 in the world in Omaha 8 or better.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And so that's one game that I'm sort of better than everybody at. And there's different categories, obviously, like who wins the most money. So how you determine how good you are is obviously how you place, but how much money you win in tournament poker. So this is just tournament. Like I don't do cash poker, which is where you're playing with your own cash and at the table. This is you buy in for a certain amount and then you play down to a winner. Oh, okay. So when the top 15% of the field makes money. So if you make the first money ladder, you basically make double your buy-in kind of thing. And then as you go through
take that to go to the next
level.
If
you bust, then you just win the money and then you go buy into another tournament and you start again. Okay. Right? So everybody starts every tournament starts with a certain number of players, and then you just play down to a winner. So as people
How
get
many people
eliminated,
are in your average game like that?
usually it's between 800 and 10,000.
So they're not all in the same room, are they?
Some of them are over multiple days, so they'll have So for example, the largest field tournament is around 20,000 players. So they'll do that over 4 starting days. So they'll have like 5,000 a day, 5 or 6,000. I think the capacity of these venues are around 6 to 7,000 players in a day. So if there's more, if you're anticipating like 20,000, 25,000 players, like if it's a $300 buy-in, for example, they'll have 4 or 5 starting days. So every day there'll be like 3 or 4 or 5,000 players that'll come start. And then day 2 is where they amalgamate all the days. So usually they play enough levels that they play into the money. So they'll eliminate 85% of the players. And then the 15% that are left are in the money and they come back for day 2. And then there might be, from a 20,000 player field, there might be 3,500 that come back for day 2 or 4,000. Then they'll play down to like 400, and that'll be day 3, and then day 4 they'll play down to the final table. And it's
in my
like
mind, there's like 8 guys sitting around a table playing poker, but that doesn't sound like what's going on.
No, at a single table, it's either 8, 9, or 10-handed, or you can have 6-handed tournaments.
And obviously, it's not all guys.
There's a growing. Actually, this is the first time in the modern history, basically, like I think 30 years, that a woman made the WSOP main event final table. So she ended Leo Margetts, and she's amazing. She's a really, gifted poker player. She's been around for a number of years. She's gone deep in the main event before, but it's a pretty huge accomplishment to be the first woman to make the final table. In 30 years. And that back in those days, there was maybe, I think when the last woman to make the final table, she made it in a player field of 400. So, and probably back then 2 or 3% of the field were women. Now we're looking, 8 to 12% of the field are women. And there's a really good Canadian woman, Kristen Foxon, who's one of the best in the world as well. And she came 13th last year, so she came close to making the main event final table. So the main event it's a $10,000 buy-in, and there's 10,000 players, or just under 10,000, 908 or 9,800 or 9,900 players played the main event this year. So every one of them ponied up 10 grand.
My God.
So I was one of the people that ponied up 10 grand as well.
And, I can't even imagine. Like, I have a hard time playing poker for a nickel. Well, like, I really do.
But part of it is like, it's kind of like business, because you have to have a bankroll. Right. So your bankroll is your tool. It's like if you're a plumber, that's your kind of work kit. So your bankroll of money that you dedicate to play this game. So, depending on what levels you're buying and how big a tournament will dictate how much money you need to do it. But then people take shots. So if you're buying into $10,000 buy-in tournaments, you probably need $1 million bankroll to do that successfully, because you're only going to cash, a good poker player will cash 20% of the time. And you're only going to win it like 1% of the time or 2% of the time or whatever. So you may try that tournament. Like the main event is a very special tournament because it only happens once a year, and it's the largest. So it's got the largest first prize. Other than there's some, they've had $1 million buy-in tournaments before, and $500,000 buy-in tournaments where you might have more than 10 million for first. But the main event is like it's got the most people ponying up the largest amount of money.
Wow.
And it's pretty exciting for the poker community. Like it's a subculture. Right. Like it's not,
I'm super not part of it, obviously. So I feel a little ignorant, but the buy-in, is that just to be able to play? That's not the money you're taking to play with? That's just buying
so basically
for a seat at the table?
Yeah. So you decide at the beginning of the series. So people who play the World Series of Poker seriously, so they'll go down at the beginning. It starts, late May and goes till, mid to the 3rd week of July. So it's 6-7 weeks long. So you'll go and say, okay, I'm going to play 50 tournaments and the buy-ins range from X, Y, and Z. So you're gonna win some money in theory, right? You know, like you can go down there and not cash in a single tournament, which happens to people. So then you're gonna lose all your money, right? But so you have a sort of pool of money that you take down there, and you go, okay, I'm gonna take 20 grand, depending on what your buy-in levels are. People go down there with 5 grand, 6 grand. Like there's different. You can pay $200 tournaments, $300 tournaments, $500 tournaments, and then take a shot at $1,000 or $1,500 tournaments. But the sort of the prestige and the world championship tournaments are like 10K. So technically a $1,500 buy-in tournament is still, you know, if you win that, you've won a WSOP bracelet. It's technically a world championship in the.
That's not what that is.
That's not. No, this is. Like,
but you did get one year, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. In 2013, I won, and then in 2014, I came fourth in the same event. So that's where I get my ranking in that style of tournament, because it's a Omaha 8 or better. It's a split pot game. It's different than, you know, most people know Texas Hold'em, where you've got 2 cards and, you know, you can go all in and, you know, in a single hand. This particular version is a limit game, so you can only bet twice what the blind is. So if the blinds are 500,000, you could bet 2,000, and then they can make it 3,000. You can make it 4,000. So it's kind of a death by 1,000 cuts, but it's a little more strategy, because you have to, you know, you got to fold in spots where you're getting the equity to call, and you got to read the other person's hand. So hand reading is a little bit more important in the limit version of it. But I play all the different games.
I heard something fun about Vegas and current events. They're going to allow people to play Uno in Vegas. I don't think you can gamble on Uno, but they're going to have like places where you can go play Uno specifically.
Interesting.
I know.
I never heard, or maybe I did hear that.
And so far as I know, you can't bet on it, although it's in Vegas. So
well, you have to be able to, yeah. So what they would do is they'd make an application to introduce Uno. So they'd apply to the Gaming Commission in Nevada.
Okay.
And they would decide whether you can gamble on it or not. And it's so crazy, the rules around it, because you can go, like poker technically, before in a gray market, you used to be able to play poker online. So poker is a skill game, but it's got a gambling sort of component to it. And there's luck involved, but skill can overcome bad luck.
Over time?
Over time.
Because it's not going to be every game your skill's going to beat out luck.
No, right? Because luck is about variance too. So you could get unlucky like for a year, but then get really lucky. So you play, like if you're running, they call it expected value. So EV. So if you're running above EV, it means you're on the positive side of the variance.
Okay.
So you may win. So if you have one hand versus another hand, mathematically, it might be a 60% favorite every time, but you could be on the 40% end of it, like for a year, where you just keep having that one hand lose, or that, you know, one pair lose to an under pair or whatever over and over again. But if you play over a life, the averages will even out. So if you have unlimited resources, you'll never go broke if you're good.
You can always break even if you have unlimited resources.
Yeah, well, you'll always match the odds.
Yeah.
So if you say statistically you get aces 1 in every 300 hands you get dealt, right? But those aces, you know, are going to lose, you know, 70% of the time, or depending on what the hand is. So they're against any hand, they're probably an 80% favorite. Against aces against kings is an 80% favorite. You know, aces against 7-8 might be a 60% favorite or something, just because of the way the odds work. Okay. Right. So how you make money?
Nodding, but I don't understand.
No, but how you make money is you want to get your money in good. So it's just like if you're a stockbroker and you're analyze all the data of a certain company. And you're like, well, that company has really good fundamentals. It's got some news coming out. It's got this project over here that looks good. So you analyze what makes that stock worth investing in, right? Poker's the same way. You're like, okay, I've got this really good hand. So I'm a really good favorite against all these other hands. So how much money am I going to wager on this one hand? So your ability, your skill, who the other players are, you know, that's where you realize the value in that particular hand. So you're going to make an investment in that hand, and that hand should win you 70%. Should win 70% of the time.
So you wouldn't know that if you weren't experienced.
Yeah,
that's where the skill comes in.
That's right. Well, the skill,
experience.
understanding the odds, understanding based on other people's actions what hands they most likely have against the board, because you've got your hand you've got the 2 cards or 4 cards or whatever in your hand. Then there's the board that comes out. So the board is where the luck comes in, because that's completely random, the cards that come out. But your hand is going to interact with that board in certain ways, just like your competitors' hands are going to interact with that board. Right. Then you can start bluffing, where you're actually trying to demonstrate that you have a different hand based on the board.
You've got an 80% hand, say, or something.
Yeah, or you maybe, you flopped 2 pair, or you flopped, trip 3s, or you made a straight or whatever, and then you're telling a story. So with the job of a poker player, just like a job of a stock market guy who's evaluating stocks, is to determine, what is the most likely holding or the outcome based on how this person's reacting to what you're doing. And then how are you reacting to what they're doing? And then what story are you telling, and what story are they telling? And then what do you think they think you are thinking? Right? So then you start getting into that. So then the math is the base. Because just like life, like you can't, like fact is fact. Like though this hand will win X% of time against that hand. And the board, if you ran that board 1,000,000 times and ran the cards 1,000,000 times, the math would always math. Right? So if this hand, like you may lose, if your hand's a 70% favorite, and the 30% may come up like 15 times in a row. Right? But then just 2 or 3 years later, you're going to be on the other side of it, where the 70% is going to win like 95% of the time. You know what I mean? But it's still over time, and the maths. So
with the comparison of poker and the stock market, are there people who hedge against their hands in poker?
Well, they insure it. So if you're playing a big cash game, for example, so when you're actually, it's real money, like in poker tournaments, you're playing with chips. So whoever wins the most chips at the end wins, and there's a predetermined prize pool based on how many entries there are.
So those chips, are they're a symbol of a value?
They are eventually. Like when everybody starts with, in the main event, you start with 60,000 chips. Those chips aren't worth anything. They're, you bought, it costs you $10,000 to get those chips, but at the end is when they determine what their value is. So whoever owns all those chips at the end wins $10 million.
See, when I see it on TV and I see them with their stacks of
chips, they're
betting
$1 million.
I assume that's money, because they got a little thing on the bottom of the screen saying how much money they have in their pot or whatever.
Yeah,
I assume that's what they're doing.
In certain, if it's a cash game, that is true. Okay. So if you're in a cash game and you bought in for, say it's $100,000 or $50,000 or $10,000 or $5,000 or $1,000, those chips are real money. Like every denomination relates to dollars. But in a tournament, if there's 10,000 players that entered, every person gets 60,000 chips. So the prize pool there's like, I don't know what the math is on that, 600 million chips in play. So those chips don't become valuable until you actually hit the money period. So it's like a golf tournament. So the top 15% in a golf tournament will make money. So depending on how they place determines what part of the prize pool they get. Right?
Okay.
So that's what goes into all your decision-making processes when you're playing, and then also how much money you bring down, which is when we started, so you bring down X, I'm going to bring, so if I go based on the levels I play, I need to bring probably have accessible $20,000 to $30,000 of money. So I might buy into $70,000 worth of tournaments, but my bankroll started with 20 to 30,000. So I'll play like 10 tournaments and I'll lose, $5,000, but I still have 25,000, and then I'll buy into another one. Then I'll win some money. I'll replenish my bankroll. Then I'll buy in again and replenish. So if you're doing good, then your bankroll is going to last longer and you're going to win. And if you're doing bad, your bankroll, you have to be a little bit more strategic with where you spend your money.
Okay, that makes more sense to me.
And then a bunch of players have people that back them. most professional poker players sell action. So they'll have people say, okay, well, I'm going to play this tournament, but you put in the buy-in and we'll split it 50-50, right? So they wouldn't normally have the money to play these buy-ins, but they have the ability, they have the skill to do it. But they've just maybe made bad choices, or they just don't, they want to play a $10,000 buy-in, but they only have 5,000. So they'll sell their action.
I don't think I'd be really good at poker, but I think I would be good at roulette.
Well, yeah, you just black, red,
right?
black, red.
I think I'd hit it.
The thing with gambling for me, it's a surrogate for competing.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to play fairly competitive chess.
Oh, I didn't know. Did I
Yeah,
know that?
I don't know.
Maybe I don't think I did.
Yeah, back in the day, chess was my first game that I played. So I learned poker after chess, but poker is just another game. Mm-hmm. So similar to chess where you're competing. And I used to compete in karate tournaments and soccer, and as physically I can't do that anymore. So I get a real, the juice out of the competing. And the tournament format is the best because I just go in, I know what the buy-in is, and the max I can lose is that. And then I'm going to compete against a whole bunch of people. And then whether I'm strategic or, if I bluff enough, or, if I make a good call, or just all that juice that comes out of it, just really satisfies my competitive spirit. And it's a good complement to business too, because all of the thought processes and money management and risk management and decision making, with limited information applies to business. We've talked about this on our podcast before. So it's a very good game for entrepreneurs and business people in strategic type formats.
It keeps your brain sharp.
Oh, and it keeps my brain sharp
in that regard.
But as you get older, it's like anything, like fatigue sets in, and so with this particular game or sport or whatever, I mean, thinking about it as a sport is a bit weird, but there's a physical, mental, and all those. There's lots of characteristics that come into being a successful poker player, and it's similar when you're in business. Like as someone who can make a decision quickly with, surmise a bunch of information, quickly and make decisions. Yeah, that is a good attribute. And then also risk assessment, like how much risk. You may think you have the best hand, but do I want to risk it here because there's still luck and variance, and maybe you're wrong. Yeah. Maybe your read on the situation is completely wrong, and you do it and it doesn't work out. So how do you adapt to that? So there's a lot of like those decision points in the tournament poker scene and poker in general, where it really mimics kind of longer term stuff that happens in business. Like you make a decision, you make an investment, and then you adjust how you're doing based on the results. So it's the same thing in poker, where you're making a decision and your assumptions are dictating how you move forward, and then you just make pivots based on new information, right? So it's no different than business. So it's a very good way to work the business muscle.
Okay.
But it takes a long time. It's like anything, you got to put 10,000 hours into something to become an expert.
And $1 million.
Well, a lot of people say, well, are you up or down? And, I've won, a fair amount of money playing poker, and there's expenses and costs and all of that. I'm definitely up. But I don't keep records because it's social for me. It's I don't bet I don't play with more money than I can afford to lose, which is key. And then, but the competitive drive and spirit, when I lost money personally this year, but I had an investment in a poker player that he won. So
you were telling me about that. I couldn't believe that you can invest in other players like that. I had no idea.
Yeah. So it's players that want to play certain games but don't have the bankroll. So they'll take investors. So I have one guy who's very good, and he's a good friend of mine, and he had a deal with someone else that wasn't very good for him.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I've done some small investing with him before and successfully. So I thought, well, I'll just take all of your action, but it's stressful too, because now not only am I worried about my buy-ins, I'm worried about his buy-ins.
Well, and you've got no control over what he's going to do.
No, exactly. And also variance, like he can win or lose. So I'm sitting there going, I'm losing. And then I look over at him and he's just busted. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, I lost twice. I lost 3-4 times now. Oh my goodness.
But then you can win 3 times in a row.
Yeah. And it's all about, again, it's the number, like a pool of money that you're using to play the game. And at the end, you count your money. Right. So very seldom, like, I can't think of a time where I've gone down there and lost everything.
Okay.
Right. But even if I did, it was money I'd set aside to do that.
Right.
So,
it's your personal.
Yeah. It's sort of like if you look at it, like if you play hockey or play these other sports where you're traveling to go do this and you've got, equipment costs and all this stuff, there's costs. I have an opportunity to win all those costs back in the game I play. So,
whereas in hockey, you only get
glory. No, it's an investment. Yeah, we get glory. And I also get the glory part of it too, which is where the battle for me with going and playing the World Series because of the rankings and his history of your field. So this is a hobby I play, but there's rankings and world rankings and all this stuff and national rankings and all that. So, it's not like I'm making a choice to go lay on a beach and I'm going to choose that beach.
Right.
Like I'm sort of like I'm locked in and I've been doing this 20 years. So it's a big investment. But that's, the other thing too is I spend my freaking summers in Vegas, which is horrible. You know what I mean?
I've never been to Vegas actually.
Yeah,
so
don't
I don't know. I think I would have. I don't think I could gamble if I was in Vegas, and I probably couldn't go see any of the shows because you only see Celine Dion so many times.
The thing about it, like if there's a spot in the world where if you want to go eat certain food and by certain chefs, and it's all right there, and there's so much other entertainment other than gambling that's there now. So I think, all in all, is it positive? Like it depends on what lens you're looking at it. If you're looking at it through the moral lens or things like that, then you might make different decisions. But I think as far as a one-stop shop,
Vegas
of just like
kind of it, and they got the Grand Canyon.
Well, the Grand Canyon,
there's lots of outdoor stuff.
There is, and they got Red Rock. They've got Zion National Park, which is really, really cool. And all that's within an hour or two of Las Vegas. The Grand Canyon, of course, is pretty cool as far as attractions go. But
it's pretty cool for a crack in the earth.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just bizarre because they're also running out of water. And then there's just these weird things that happen. I was there, I guess it was probably 4 years ago. And there was like a mass panic on the strip because a window broke and somebody thought it was a gunshot.
Oh.
So there's stampede that started all the way up and down, just based on whispers, and like it started stampedes.
Was that
all the way
after
through.
The shooting in Vegas?
Yes, much after. Yeah, it was probably like 3 years after, 4 years after that mass shooting.
Everyone's pretty.
I think in general,
gun shy.
Yeah, I think that's just the culture that's created down there. Is another reason why you need to be careful when you are being down there.
Yeah, and when you're choosing to go to the States.
Yeah, when it's freaky.
Tie this back into choosing to go to the States or not. And I know you were kind of questioning that.
Yeah, I grappled with it for sure.
I would, and as soon as I heard you say that, it made me think of tariffs.
Yeah.
And thinking that when the U.S. tariffs us, it hurts the American consumer.
Yeah.
And when Canada counter tariffs, it hurts the Canadian consumer.
Right.
So if you're a traveler debating whether or not you're going to go to the States, why tariff yourself just to punish yourself if you really want to go and you don't think about the politics? You just really want to go to Palm Springs, or you really want to go to Boston or something. Why would there be any thought that you shouldn't go just because of what their politics are doing? Why should that hurt you and what you want to do?
That's a really good question. I think that is the question of the day, because when you have this sort of compression of this culture war so to speak, where you're being asked, like, because now what ends up happening in this environment where there's a rise in fascism and politics and religion and all this stuff starts mixing, and even popular culture, where you're looking at these people that you see on TikTok or Instagram or on TV, and you're holding them up higher. They're just human beings, right? They're just people. But yet we're in this period where we just lean on everybody's word and what their opinion is, and people are making up their own stuff.
Yeah.
Right? They're just like, oh well, I'm gonna just think that this is true, and then all of a sudden it becomes their truth when it's actually not the truth. And truth is truth. Like this is
there's perception.
Yeah, this
but
is plastic.
There's also truth.
Yeah, you can perceive all this stuff. So when we're all being asked to make these calls, right? Like I really love when I talk to somebody who has absolutely no knowledge or interest or doesn't keep up with anything that's going on in the world. And I kind of envy them because I'm like, oh man, you don't even think about that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay, good.
Just going through life.
Yeah, just like, oh, what I'm doing and living in the moment and being true to who they are as they flow through the world without worrying about all these things that you can't control. I think that's part of the business end of it, but also when you're making decisions for yourself is, well, what can I control? And how does that align with my values? And I think, for me, when I view our business and our company, I always make those judgment calls because does this align with our values? Does this align with who we've represented ourselves to the community?
Yeah, like what you're going to do, who you're going to purchase from, where you're going to sell.
Yeah, all those things. And I think we've made the decision to run our business that way. Mm-hmm. So other people have run their business differently and maybe don't prioritize that. We've chosen to prioritize that. So now that's the path we're on. So me as an individual, I think about the perception of what my actions are and what my choices are. And if I can defend my position, and even if I can't, even if I say, well, I just really value the 20 years of investment in my poker career that I've put in.
Yeah.
And, so I'm going to, in this particular instance, and that may change, right? So where we were in the moment when I made the decision to go play poker in Vegas, I rationalized it and I justified it. So,
right. So the fact is you have a history, you have a track record, but your perception could change about how important that is.
Yeah, your priority change based on, different things that happen. And the other thing that I enjoyed when I was down there is having conversations with people that think differently. Mm-hmm. And especially American people who've they're subjected to and put in their face all this stuff, right? So there's, a lot of propaganda that goes on, and propaganda is universal, like it's used by everybody. Mm-hmm. But just having that chance to say, when someone says, oh, wow, socialized Medicare is like the worst, like what's it like in Canada? You must hate it. And I'm like, no, it's really awesome. Actually, it's very good that I don't have to think about going bankrupt for healthcare. I can walk in, maybe I'm waiting sometimes, maybe I'm not. But you just get to shift that sort of thing or have that discussion, which I think is part of it is just bringing it down to individual people. Like if you get caught up in this big thing, but like talk to your neighbor. Like, what does your neighbor think? Oh, your viewpoint's that. Well, why do you think that way? Well, here's my perspective. And, if they're racist or, anti-Muslim or, they get caught up in this anti-LGBTQ and all this stuff. It's like, well, have you ever met a Muslim? Oh yeah, I know this Muslim from work and he's really nice. So your personal experience is that, Muslim's nice, but yet you have these views because someone else is telling you to look at them differently.
Yeah.
But your own experience is this. So why do you have those views? Like just trust your own experiences, your own eyes, your own ears, and all that kind of stuff. And then just simplify it, because when you get caught up in stuff that you can't control, that becomes your center point. And you literally have no control over it. You know it. You're inside, it. And you just end up frustrated because you cannot exact change. You cannot influence that at all. But yeah, that's where you spend all your time. offer a suggestion of spending your time on stuff that you actually can control. Have conversations that, you can get educated on, or you get more familiar with people that you actually know that are in your sphere that you have control over. And guess what? You're going to feel like a lot happier. Like when you get off the social media and you get off worrying about all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
But I do think that you need to be paying attention to what's going on. There's some things going on in the world right now that I think you need to be aware of.
Sure, there are places I don't want to go, but I really want to go to Portland in October. There's a coffee show.
Yeah.
And I haven't been since COVID. I
Yeah.
haven't been down to the States, and I really love traveling in the States. Like I really do. I love the people.
Yeah.
I love the
it's convenient
stuff
and
there's the vibe I really dig.
Yeah.
I don't agree with their politics, and
Yeah.
I don't like what's happening to them, to their culture and theirs, and them as a group.
Yeah.
But individually, like you're saying, when you just are sitting next to someone having a meal or having a drink or on the bus or the subway or something, they're great.
Yeah.
They're great.
Yeah.
People are awesome.
Yeah, people
everywhere
are people
you go.
everywhere.
Yeah. You go to Iran, people are awesome.
Yeah.
Do we like their politics? Probably not.
Yeah.
Or actually, we probably like them better than the American politics, maybe, since Americans are responsible for the current Iranian government.
Yeah, exactly. But those are the things that as two people living on Vancouver Island, like how do we want to represent ourselves? How we got to look in the mirror and go, am I happy with what I see? Am I happy with who I'm looking at? And then, your sphere of control, which is, your family, your work, your coworkers, your staff, whatever, your business. Those are all things you can control.
If I go to the U.S. because I want to, and I'm not tariffing myself by not going, then it doesn't hurt anyone. My trip to the States won't influence anything. It's not going to be the collapse of Canada if I go.
Yeah.
Or if anyone goes. Like, it's just, I don't see why people want to boycott an entire country because of a handful of people.
Well, that's interesting because that's the question of the day, because
wow, I've had two of them now.
I know, and it's fascinating discussion point, because I do think there's things that are worth protesting, and I do think what's happening in the States, and not to toot my horn, but I've been watching this for a decade and calling it what it is. It's rise in fascism. It's end of democracy in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And you could argue, whether it was, the strength of their actual democracy or not, like for a long time. But, they have, free elections or somewhat free elections or whatever. Yeah. But they have that sort of idea, and it's the promise that is the issue. Like, soon as the promise is ended, mm-hmm. and that promise isn't true, the world changes. So the U.S. has carried this big stick where they're like the moral high ground, and we are the best, and we demand democracy over there, and we call out that over there, and we're going to decide how things go. In the meanwhile, and behind the scenes, they're doing whatever the hell they want, and they're influencing and manipulating all that kind of stuff. But to have the higher authority and have that pulpit where you're like holding the stick and holding other people accountable is needed for stability. So, and from stability, then you can do business, make decisions, and grow your family and plan. And what's going on now, it's completely destabilizing, and it's literally the plan to destabilize. So
it feels like it.
You distract, and then it's fascism always joins with corporate greed.
Yeah.
So those two things are aligned until they're not, because they end up always eating each other.
Well, yeah,
right?
Someone's going to win.
Yeah, right? Well, and it's just because it's a castle, it's the foundation sand, right? Yeah. So You can't build anything. You can build something short term, but the heavier it gets, the sand is just going to crumble underneath it. And that's what it is, because there is no, it's any authoritarian, any fascist movement throughout history has always failed because they just eat each other. Because you have to demonize people in order to succeed with it.
Until there's no one left but
there's
yourself.
no one else but yourself.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
and then there's a coup or an overthrow.
Yeah, exactly. So,
or hopefully an election or something.
Yeah, and hopefully the election's fair and not, but they do all this stuff to gerrymander and they change they're really clever on how they do it. Fortunately, they have a bunch of ignoramuses at the top. Like, they're just dumb. So they just make dumb mistakes. Like, if they're smarter, this is going really quick, but it would go quicker if they were smarter.
Well, it would be quieter. Like, you wouldn't see it coming.
No,
they're just buffoons.
Yeah, they're just
manhandling their way through the China shop. They're bulls in China.
Yeah, the bulls in the China shop. Yeah. They're monkeys throwing shit against the wall.
So at least we can see it and call it out for what it is.
But people still don't do enough. Right. So this is where you talk about personal action is like, in my mind, if you're in the United States, and because the politics aside, it doesn't matter if you're left or right or any of that stuff. The core value, what makes a free democratic country work, is due process, is laws, rules, and the bedrock of that. So you don't change that. It's like free press. Soon as you start calling the press the enemy and start manipulating that's all those pieces, the separations of powers in the US, which is good, free press, due process. So if you're there, you're going to get a hearing. And arguably it's going to be that's why case law works, is because it's based on previous. Yeah. So if this has happened and this is the ruling, then that usually becomes the default position unless there's new information. So I think the system is there if you allow it to work. But as soon as you say, oh, well, it's not good, I don't want that person to get due process, or I don't want that person to have free and fair stuff, and you don't have anybody else standing up for them, then democracy dies in darkness. And that's literally what is happening. You're like, oh, that's not happening. Meanwhile, that right's got moved. It's death by 1,000 cuts, and it all happens. And then all of a sudden, how do you build that back up? Like, how do you repair a system that has been broken from the inside, and all these little pillars are just knocked off? And then you've got people with masks taking people off the street. At some point,
did you come across any of that?
There was periods. There was, yes. Yeah. There was blockages because of protest, ICE working in an area, and then people just were like, no, we're not going to have this. So there's pockets of that there, and a lot of it was around construction sites and this kind of stuff. So I didn't set eyes on it, but you heard the next day, oh, this road was blocked, and particular by where my hotel was. That road was blocked. But there's also a shooting, like some influencer on Instagram killed another couple influencers, like on live, right across from where I was staying, like shot dead on camera, like on their, and they had a beef.
Feed?
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
What wasn't? Planned?
Yeah, they were like, "You're stealing my content."
No,
I'm not stealing your content. I'm doing similar stuff. And then they're just like, the guy just showed up when they're doing an Instagram live. This was a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I think.
That's like Darwinism.
Yeah. And this is where the world just lost itself. So,
Jesus.
So at what point do we exert the control we have? The only control we have is just not buying or not going, right?
Yeah.
So if we're not happy with how that's...
is what I like.
Yeah.
Like as a country.
Yeah.
Like, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm pulling facts out of my arse. But
we do that all the time. This is why this is our show, man.
I heard that Canada stopped the export of aluminum and steel to the U.S. Like, they didn't counter tariff; they just stopped exporting it, and they redistributed that that flow in through Canada. So Canada
I
has,
heard some
has
of that.
lots and lots of metal now and lots of steel that we can do tertiary treatments with and make things out of here that we need, as opposed to just sending it raw down to the States and having it come back and forth in car parts or whatever it does.
Well,
right?
and that's where the strategic, and that's one of the things is.
Well, see, I like that way better than tariffing our steel down to the States. Like that doesn't.
Well, they're tariffing our steel, so they're putting a self-imposed tax on themselves.
I know, but then we go and counter-tariff all these other things. I just say, just stop selling it to them. They want to play tariff games like that?
Yeah, okay.
Well, they don't need maple syrup. They don't.
Yeah. So you just find other markets.
They can come to Canada and buy it.
Yeah, that's right.
And the same thing with steel. Same thing with timber.
Yeah.
Like, just don't sell it to them if that's
Well,
how
the
they're
problem with that
treating
is,
us.
well, and I agree, but that's all the different layers of action you can take. So you can say, oh, let's stop selling it to them, which is great. Well, let them tariff us, but we won't tariff them so that we're not taxing ourselves, which I thought was and I haven't dove deep enough into that, theory, what the outcome of that would be, but I like the idea of not taxing ourselves, because tariffs are basically a self-imposed tax. Isolationism has never worked, ever.
And so if the U.S. is tariffing something from Canada and we tariff something, so we're getting almost taxed double, because the company that has to pay the U.S. tariff in Canada is now working at a loss or not as profitable. They need to make that up somewhere. So
they pass it
on to their Canadian consumers as well, I would assume, because they're not going to make a differentiating, having an American price and a Canadian price. If they have the opportunity to raise their prices 15% for Canadians while they're being tariffed 15% for their export goods, I don't know any corporation that wouldn't just jump at the chance of raising their prices and never lowering them.
Well, that's why tariffs are inflationary, not just as a product of the actual tariff, which is obviously inflationary. Then if businesses aren't making as much money, they then have to try to figure out their business model, because if they're losing money on these products, then they have to raise money on these other products. And you're exactly right. So, that is a concern. And all of this to say, like, all of it doesn't make any sense. So you're trying to navigate, and that's the other thing in business is, like, you have to have certainty of information. You have to have certainty in order to be able to make business decisions. This is what I talk about in poker.
As much as you can possibly be certain about
like
anything,
you never, totally.
Right?
There's no guarantees. There's no certainty. You just make these wagers based on probabilities. There's a 90, you may not go, I go into the granular nature. There's probably like an 80% chance this is going to work. So I'll base my investment or decision making on the fact that it's pretty good odds. Nothing's 100%. Right. So, oh wow, this is for sure going to work. Why? I can't see any other ways it's not going to work based on the information I have. Then all of a sudden something changes. It freezes one night and unexpectedly something totally out of your control. And you're like, oh man, that product went bad, so now I can't sell it. So now I've lost. But it's the same thing when you're dealing with erratic governments and erratic decision making, when it comes to tariffs and importing and exporting. And it's just like, how do you make decisions? So it's paralyzing. So you just don't make decisions. So what's happening now, and I have a few people in the construction industry, and that's slowed way down. I have a friend who makes pools, and the pool business dried up a year ago. So all these are leading.
I love that expression.
So when the wealthy stop building pools,
I gotcha.
Then they're seeing something in their business that is causing them to tighten up.
Right.
So, and they've got more money than anybody. Like if you're buying, and these, like, we're talking like 10 million, 15, 20 million dollar houses with pools and all this kind of stuff. It's high end market. It's like buying yachts. So the yacht business dries up.
Right.
People are buying used yachts instead of like brand new yachts.
Or they're doing Uber yachts and Uber planes, right? So everyone can feel like they're rich too.
Yeah, totally.
For a minute. But I heard a new Uber type business. You can now hire in LA an armed chauffeur to drive you around for $1,000 a day or whatever it is. It's just like, what? So you can choose to get an Uber, or you can choose to get an Uber plus gun.
Yeah, Uber plus
and all the drivers are like ex-cops and ex fucking like
really?
yeah.
Is it run
it's
through
pretty
Uber?
bad. No, it's
No,
not.
it's like
it's an alternative to Uber, but it sounds awful because how many people can take advantage of something like that? Like, I got to go see my friend who owes me some money. What if I show up with an armed driver? You think I'm going to get the money now?
Oh,
of course you are.
Well, I guess, or you end up in a war.
Or the other thing you could do with that is you could drive people, illegal immigrants, you could drive them to work now and like
defend them from ICE.
like pick them up at Home Depot with your armed car and like see what they're gonna do. Like,
oh my god! Well, for $1,000 a day.
Yeah, well, it seems like a lot of craziness in that idea of a business, and I just heard about that this morning.
Yeah, but that's basically the cracking of civilization.
It
just
really
like pools
is.
drying up is an indicator the economy's slowing down.
Yeah.
When you can hire an armed guard, I mean, even that there's a business for it. There's a business need where somebody's like, "Oh, I need to hire this armed guard to protect myself in a free society."
Well, it's the Luigi Mangione syndrome now. Like, it's meant for CEOs to get these cars, but how much is it going to take for like 10 guys to go, "Hey, you want to chip in $100 and drive around with an armed guard, and we can feel like a CEO too"? Like,
or maybe they're up to no good.
Or maybe they're up to no good.
Or whatever.
Yeah, it's still a collapse of society, no matter how
it's
you
horrible.
look at that.
Like, it's, just like when you don't have, gun laws and all that kind of stuff. So there's moral judgments every day.
Yeah.
So how do you want to intersect yourself in something that you morally are against? Like, would you support, oh God, I'm not even going to go there.
Go there.
Yeah.
Hit me. Ask me. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So would you support an Israeli-based company that was supporting Netanyahu, for example?
I would right now, I would not choose to. If I had an opportunity to go to Israel to do business or vacation or to see it and experience what Israel's like, because I've never been there, I would still go. But
would you go now?
No, it's not a safe, it's not a really safe time to go right now.
Okay, so there's your input, your decision-making input.
Input is based on my safety, but it's also like I'm not going to go to an Israeli-owned business that is on purpose totally in favor of what's going on in Gaza.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give them my money on purpose.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not going to stop enjoying my life thinking that, well, I still wouldn't buy anything. I would shop and I would vote with my dollars for sure. But that doesn't mean when I go down to Portland that I'm going to go to all these right-wing coffee shops. I'm not going to go to the Black Rifle coffee shop. I'm not going to. Because I know where that money is going to go to, and it's not where I want my money to go. It doesn't
align with your views, right? Which I think is,
but there are plenty of other businesses in Portland that need our money as much as we need it in Canada, because they're just private business owners. And I don't have a problem spending my money in the U.S. as long as I'm in charge of spending my money in the U.S. I wouldn't want to be a taxpayer in the U.S. right now, because your money's being spent on things that I wouldn't want my money to be spent on.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's different. Like, I don't want to pay Canadian taxes right now because I don't really agree with where it's being spent. I don't want to spend like 5% of our budget on NATO forces. I don't. I just don't. And maybe it provides security around the world. Maybe it does. That's up for debate, I think. And I don't want my money to go there, but I'm not in charge of that. So things I am in charge of, like, I want to go buy a burger at Big Wheel Burger. I don't want to buy a burger at Wendy's or McDonald's. And I've always been like that. So my opinion on that has never changed. Like, I'll never. Yeah,
your actions are the same.
I spend my money where I believe it either does good or I'm comfortable with. I don't spend money that I know of ever on things that I don't believe in.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I think the complicating fact with this, and again, it goes down to like Israel's is a country. It's ran by a government.
It's a political entity.
It's but if you criticize Israel on their decision making, which is like, political decision making, because the leaders were elected and they're making decisions on their army and military and all that kind of stuff, you then become an anti-Semite because.
No, you're called an anti-Semite. You don't become.
No,
I
know, but that's what I mean. Yeah, right? That's what I mean.
But that's the difference.
That. Yeah.
You're called that. You can ignore that.
Yeah.
To a certain point, I guess it becomes harder and harder to ignore being called things that you aren't.
Yeah.
If you're constantly being called them, and I get that. But for me, I know it doesn't make me an anti-Semite not to agree with Israel.
No, I 100%. But this is where the conflation of politics and religion comes. Because if you, even in the sphere down south where they, the Bible Belt and the Christian nationalists and all this stuff have these there's not much difference between a Christian nationalist and, Islamic extremist.
No, they're so far extreme. They meet.
Yeah,
in the middle.
They meet, and that's
absolutely,
well known that extremism. Any extremism, any sphere is very similar to each other, and very parts.
They may not agree with each other, but they have the same tactics.
Yeah, but so then how do you go, oh, I'm anti-Muslim, but then you have views and strategies that are more aligned with the extremism, right?
I guess I'm not extreme.
Well, and that's good, but being able to differentiate between that and also being able to articulate the difference, like, and there's a Palestinian that I watched an interview of, and he very clearly said, when people refer to, Palestinians being killed and genocide, they don't say Muslims, they call them Palestinians, right? So Palestine, even though they don't have a state, arguably, like they don't have, it's by design, I'm sure, but they don't say, oh, these Muslims did this. The Palestinians, like, oh, we're against Palestinians, like Hamas or whatever, they're terrorist organization or whatever, but the second, you criticize Israel, you tie in the religion component of it. And
which is crazy because they all stem back to the same people anyway.
Oh, exactly. And that's what one of his points was too. And then you just are like,
they say time heals all wounds, but maybe it just festers.
Well, but the thing about it, it takes people to heal wounds.
It takes people to fester them too.
Well, it's both. Like, you have to be able to have a conversation. You have to be able to share your viewpoint. You also have to respect other people's positions. Mm-hmm. But, like if you look at the history objectively, like there's nothing that can happen. Like this was destined to happen based on the behavior that was exhibited and the lack of respect for people
from day
one.
From day one, set up.
Yeah, it's set up to fail, and nobody's doing it. And they're not incentivized to do anything either. Like why would they not want a Hamas enemy? Why would Israel not want a Hamas enemy?
Yeah, it's an easy
like
target.
It just gives them all of the excuse to do whatever they want and justify it.
Yeah.
So it's so to say that they could be actively involved in supporting Hamas staying in power, that makes a lot of sense.
Of course, it feeds the industrial military.
Yeah,
complex,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
and their
why wouldn't they want more?
Yeah, exactly.
Enemies?
Yeah. So, and I think that when situations in the world or anywhere, think about it in your own environment, like when there's a conflict, unless you actually break it down and talk about it and get an agreement, nothing gets resolved. So if you don't want the thing resolved, then you're going to keep adding fuel and flames to it. Right. Yeah. And that's literally any situation, that is being created throughout history it's an agitator that doesn't want change.
That's what the CIA is so good at.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly.
Right. They just go in
and then they're like, oh no, it's on me. It's on me.
Turn the country upside down.
Yeah.
In no time.
Yeah. But people then use that as an excuse to say, oh, well, they get what they deserve or whatever. No, the globe, regardless of who it is, the globe needs stability. And if that if the person doing it is also doing a few other little side stuff, that's the net benefit might be greater than those little things that they've done, even though they're big things. I mean, but I would rather have somebody, even if it's not pure, but someone who's like, okay, we can't do that. Like there's a line that we can't cross. And the US was always that person up until 25 years ago, maybe, even though they're still doing, messed up stuff. They still can be accountable. Like when you're not accountable, like when all of a sudden it's okay to go and do this, it's okay to send American citizens to El Salvador, or it's okay to arrest people without due process. As soon as that's okay,
who holds them accountable?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the same thing. We watched it in Germany, right?
Yeah,
and it's happened everywhere else. It's happened in Rwanda. It happened in Cambodia. Like you look at all these things that it just happens, and nobody does anything, and no one stands up to it, and it just goes. And you have these horrible things that happen in the world.
That makes what I was going to say next sound really awful. Then, it's a good point you're making, and I agree with it completely. Like I completely agree with what you're saying. And okay, so my point may be naive and it may be utopic, but I would love to see somewhere like the world where people just do what they want, not in a bad way. As long as you're not hurting anyone, you can do what you want. For like freedom for everyone. There's plenty of resources for everyone.
Yeah.
The people who are in a position to hold other people in the account are corrupt.
Yeah.
And that needs to change. And so, but then who takes over? Who takes over for the corrupt people who are supposed to be keeping things in check now, because they're not doing it, and they haven't done it evidently ever, really. Like
to
no
me,
one's
it's
really
cyclical.
I don't think the Americans have held anyone to account, because then you wouldn't have had.
Well, they choose the winners, right? They choose the winners. So, if it's convenient for them to get involved, they'll get involved, but it's usually around resources.
Yeah.
Like oil, gas, like whatever, or like something in the neighborhood of where that conflict is happening.
Which is a crap excuse, because there's enough in the world for everyone.
Yeah, well, you
it's
just need
greed.
To do what's right. And then but if the world, like if governments did what's right, we would be in a utopia, because right is very clear. Like people who are you justify wrong, right? So that's where, you get into it. Oh,
justify wrong.
Yeah, you justify wrong. And
you don't have to justify right, because it's
obvious.
No,
it's always right. It's obvious.
Yeah.
Right? You never have to make a justification for doing what's right.
I like that. I never really thought about that before.
But you always make a justification for what's wrong. And that's where the issue lies, because and that's why you need this narrative of demonizing. You need an enemy, and you need to convince everybody that that's the enemy. So
our current system needs that.
This is what's happened throughout history. So if you go back through history, like recorded history in any civilization, the same things happen. Like the one common thing is how humans interact with each other and interact with the space around them, like the earth. That hasn't changed. The only thing that changes is the inputs, the influence, and how things are being run. So if you lived in England in the 1100s, right? You probably might have been a slave to the landowner, or you might you're there and you're interacting with the rules and how things are going. And, I don't like being a slave. I don't like, so you rebel, and then they quash, and then all of a sudden there's a change, because these, and sometimes it may take hundreds of years, right, to exact the change, but the actual human experience doesn't change. Like they don't have cell phones, but okay, they don't have, there isn't telephones, and there isn't cars, and there isn't all this kind of stuff. But how people deal with challenges, needs, like you need to eat, you need to sleep, you need to, human nature is to care for your loved ones and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't change. All of this other noise that gets created is and we think we're all unique. We think, oh, this is it isn't unique. Like this has happened before. Like the world has been here before, and it's here every 80 years.
It's that group psychology.
Yeah, it's the whole group psychology.
It's so,
and the distance between these bad things. Like, so say there was like when the atom bomb dropped,
yeah,
right? That changed the world forever,
mm-hmm.
right? But you forget. So it dropped, and then now they're talking about doing a nuke again. So when there's a huge gap between an event, people forget. So people that go through that event, now they're the sons and brothers and sisters of those people that went through that, now are the leaders. So they make different choices. Their views are different because of that experience. So then they're making decisions. Then, a generation goes by and they're, oh, well, I don't remember that. I wasn't involved in that. And you just get these gaps. And this is where the four turnings happen.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the one thing that I know to be true, but also allows me some peace in this, because this too shall pass.
Yeah.
Right. It just depends on how bad it's going to get. 80 years ago, there's a Holocaust and a world war. And I don't know, 80 million people died, like, and I'm making up numbers, but maybe it's 60 million or 70 million died in World War II or in around that period. So that is going to affect everything that happens for the next couple generations after that. But then you're going to forget, and you're right back. Like, oh, fascism. You see these stuff on where they're having these debates, and these people have these views. I'm a fascist. It's like, what are you talking about? Like,
So do you think the world has always been in turmoil like it is because of individuals or groupthink?
It's cyclical. Like it's literally groupthink. Like we manufacture in our heads our world, like our fears and all that stuff, and then people try to control you. So you got these groups. So one of the best fundamentals of the United States and democracy in general is separating church from state, right? As soon as you combine them, guess what? Then if your politician is like your leader, and the one thing that faith will do is it will get you to do the most horrific things in the world.
Yeah.
It'll also make you do some of the best stuff too, right? But
without questioning
it,
faith.
because it's faith.
Yeah.
You just take it at faith. So when political leaders are like idolized, it's a huge problem. But it's cyclical because you go through these gaps, periods of peace or periods of contentment, and all of a sudden people get restless. And they're like, and then there's an actor out there who's a bad actor, and he's like, oh, I can take advantage of this, or I'm going to create this tribe. And then tribalism starts, and then you've got all these pockets, and you view them as your enemy. And like, and then there's a pandemic, which is, totally out of everybody's control, but the actual how you manage it isn't out of their control. And then you can agree or not agree with that. And then all of a sudden more tribes get built. Mm-hmm. And then you're aligning yourself with certain leaders based on what their ideology is, rather than just facts, and rather than just dealing with it. And it's a human condition, I think. It just over time, people just get lazy and they get, complacent, and then they get bored, and then all of a sudden wars break out, and then that becomes the attention. It's like wag the dog. They're creating their own action. Like in poker, you can create your own action by just raising all the time and going crazy. And, and it may work for you, may not work for you, but you're creating your own action, and humans create their own action. And then they're going to clean it up. And then when it happens so bad and it shocks the world, then everybody's like, oh, they snap out of this freaking wave. And the people that go through that are the ones that are most affected. And then they change their behavior for a period of time. And that's when the laws change. They're like, oh, we'll never have that happen. Never again. How many of you heard never again?
Yeah.
Right? No genocide. Never again. And then we're literally rounding people up now and putting them in cages based on their ethnicity, based on their beliefs, based on their country of origin. And it's happening all over the place. It's happening in Israel. They're talking about doing a concentration camp in Israel that's going to hold 600,000 people. Like, I think Auschwitz held 100,000 people or 20,000 people or 50,000 people or something. So you're building these massive, it's...
The irony is
No, but guess what's going to happen?
Awful.
Is something horrible is going to happen as a result of that, because it always does, and people are going to go never again, and they're going to put those people in jail, and they're going to create all these laws, and they're going to create all this buzz, and then
Not only
fast
in
forward.
Israel, they're doing it in America too.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
crazy.
they're literally, alligator Alcatraz. Like it's like you're dehumanize people, but you do that. That's a fascist movement. That you do that deliberately so that you can have the enemy.
Yeah.
Like.
And once
And
they're
you suppress-
built, you have to fill them.
Well, for sure, because it's an industrial complex. It just feeds
And-
off itself.
Yeah, and it makes money.
Yeah.
Would they be part of the prison economy in the U.S., do you think?
Privatized prisons.
Well, yeah, I think,
Yeah.
aren't they all except for the federal ones? Or I don't really know the U.S. system that well, but I do know.
Yeah, there's a
that
mix
it's-
of government
a lot of them are
and
private.
and it depends on the state.
and the private ones aren't really private; they're just owned by a few companies.
Yeah,
Sure,
it's
like,
of
they're
course
huge.
Yeah.
It's private, but doesn't feel like private. You know.
No, I mean it's So I mean, all of that to say, the world will get better,
Mhm.
and we will get through this, and it just depends on what happens to snap everybody out of it. So, and that's literally, and maybe it'll be the Epstein list. Maybe all
What
these.
Epstein list?
Oh, you never heard of the Epstein list?
Who's Epstein?
Oh, I love it. Oh,
What?
I love it.
What are you
know
talking about?
Jeffrey Epstein?
About P. Diddy's friend? Is
Well, they're
that-
all.
Oh,
yeah. I can't tell if you're being serious or not.
I have heard of him. I thought that was over.
No,
Oh my God, that is
no.
the newest thing to latch onto, isn't it? And because it's so
Well,
bloody, obvious, and gross,
Yeah.
and disturbing.
Yeah.
It's just like how do people get fooled so easily?
Well, and the other thing about it is, how do they allow it to happen? And then everybody's like knows it's horrible and horrific, but nobody is doing anything to stop it or
I
to
mean,
call it out.
American
or to-
people have been lied to for freaking
Oh,
decades and
my
decades and
God.
decades. Why do they think that this is going to be any different?
No,
Right?
I mean, bottom line again is like horrific people doing horrific things, and then people are being put in their little corral. Here's your tribe, and here's your tribe, and you hate them, and blah, blah, blah. And none of it makes sense. But it's all just to create distraction. But it's not even about like, I don't want to get into like conspiracy theory and that kind of crap. But it's just the sign of the times where we are, and we've been here before, and it's happened repeatedly, throughout history. So, what's gonna end this? I don't know, but I imagine it'll be over in 10 to 15 years. And then we'll be like, oh, thank God that's over. Having to go through it. I mean, you just think about people that went through, World War II and, all that stuff.
Mhm.
Like, all these sort of things. And, there's always been these cultural sort of shifts in Vietnam and the protests and free love and all this stuff. It's just all about, who's in power, what message is being sent to different people in different age groups, and who's going to stand up and do something about it. And I think the generation that's young now, like, 5 to 15, is the generation that is going to snap us out of it. And
it already feels like they're doing a better
Oh,
job
they're
of
doing so
the
good. Yeah.
generation that came before them.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. I mean, good times make, weak people. Weak people make bad times. Bad times make strong people. Like it's the social human experience. We're not unique. Like if you read newspapers from 80 years ago, you'd be thinking it was right.
Oh,
now.
you mean like our timeline people
Yeah.
are not unique?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I thought we weren't unique to everything else.
no.
like we're a little
the
unique.
time. No, yeah,
But-
we're unique. It's just the
But
timeline,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So, how's work? How's
Work
business?
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's summertime.
Things slow
so
down for you in summertime.
Okay, so yes, historically, come the end of June, school's out, people's patterns change.
Yeah.
My business drops off for July, August.
Yeah.
By September 10th to 12th, it's right back to where it was.
Yeah.
And this year, that gap never has materialized.
Oh, that's good.
It is good.
Yeah.
I think people are choosing not to travel as much right now.
Well, and they're probably not supporting other chains that are maybe American. Starbucks.
Maybe that's part of it. But I still see people going to Tim Hortons all the time.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess that's perspective.
Yeah. That's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing, but it's really not Canadian at all. I mean, there are franchisees that are Canadian, but that's kind of it.
Yeah.
It's still a big Brazilian American company.
Yeah.
But no, I think that this year that hard slowdown at the end of June, beginning of July hasn't happened for me. It's dropped off a bit. Like I can see people are on vacation, but nothing like it used to be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which feels really good this time of year. So it's also vacation time, and there's been a lot of people getting sick this summer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like a lot of July colds and flus going on. So there's my work is been covering a lot of people. Yeah. And so it's hard.
Yeah.
It's
you
hard
physically,
work right now. But I'm
taking
my off. Like I was up at 3:30 this morning in the kitchen by 4:15. You know, just getting it done.
Because you need to.
There was no one there.
Yeah.
So I had to get it done, which I don't mind it really.
Yeah.
And on my off time, it's all gardening right now. So really between my home time, which has been just totally obsessive with my garden, to my work time where I'm totally obsessed with filling all the gaps.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of time this year for fun, although I did go to a great pig roast.
Oh,
cool. Weeks ago, out in East Soup that was absolutely wonderful. There was a band.
Just like a private one?
Yeah. There was a band and a wedding.
See, that's the kind of stuff. Yeah, it's
great.
Listen, that's where life happens, you know.
I drank more tequila that night than I have drank in the last 10 years, for sure.
Did you just... You got lit?
I felt so good. I didn't even feel drunk.
Yeah.
Like I didn't. Like tequila is magic sometimes.
Yeah.
And I felt great the next day. I was up really early and I was out in the garden.
That's the best
at the
part.
Crack of dawn watering and stuff. Hells yeah.
I don't really drink that much anymore, but if I'm going to have a few, like not feeling bad in the morning is like... So not having sugar, I guess, and maybe just doing it straight.
You're not mixing your wine and beer?
No. Oh, too old
and
for
some
that
Southern
kind of
Comfort on the side?
Too old for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, tequila was actually, I was really surprised how good I felt.
Yeah.
I
love it.
Did I find something new?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not new, but maybe new to me. I've drank tequila
and
before.
It was good.
Yeah. I don't know what kind they were serving because it was all just like, it's all so fast. The girls at the shooter bar were like coming out to like groups with trays and
just like
Jello shot. Yeah. Oh yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Jello shots.
And they had coolers full of multicolored Jello. Like these guys put on a good party.
Oh,
it was.
I didn't get the invite. What the hell?
Well, you were in Vegas. You
did
get the invite. You did get it.
Yeah,
I just declined on your behalf because I didn't want to make you feel like you were missing out on too much.
Thank you. You did it for me.
I did. And then I had half of my tequilas for you too.
Oh yeah, that's good. I didn't need them. I didn't need them.
But work is pretty good. We're kind of planning right now for staff changes in September.
Yeah, always.
Is always happening. So my GM right now is really on top of it and feels like she's got September covered. There's one position we're still trying to fill, and I think we got a guy who used to work for us who wants to come back. Maybe if the circumstances are right, and it'd be really great to have him back. Normally, I don't look back at old employees, not because I don't like them at all. It's just because I want more for them, and they've already moved on. I don't want them to feel like they're coming back because it might feel weird for them, which would make me feel weird. And
you do like I do. You don't like. Why are we even worried about that?
Right? Because we're sensitive.
Yeah. We always like read into things, and we're like thinking for other people, and it's like just let them make a decision.
Exactly. Come back. But normally, I would be hesitant on it. But for this guy, I'm like, oh, dude, if you want in,
Well, lack of
I'll
you don't
take
need
ya.
to train,
Right.
like you know the gig, you know the vibe, you know the
Yeah.
culture, like.
all he doesn't want to do, he doesn't want to manage people. It's like, oh,
Oh,
man, I
is
feel
that
you.
why? Yeah, I don't
that's-
want to manage
that's-
people
That's
either.
why he,
Yeah.
he left, was because we were asking him to manage people, and
Yeah.
it's like he didn't want to do it. And
Yeah.
I didn't
Pick that
didn't
up.
see it
Yeah.
until it was too late.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And then it's like, this isn't working for you.
Yeah.
It's not working for them.
Yeah,
And he was like, oh, yeah, it's not. But
yeah. But he would like working for you.
yeah,
wants
he
just with
likes
other
the ethos of
responsibility.
my company. He likes the coffee.
Yeah,
He likes
yeah.
what we're doing.
Yeah, your
And
whole vibe.
Yeah, it'd be great.
My
to have him back.
wife now loves your coffee.
Oh, I should get you a pound next
No,
week.
no,
I'll
no,
bring
no.
you some.
You're not bringing. I'm going to your shop. She actually bought some at Peppers.
Oh, did she?
Yeah,
Oh, that's why
So-
I got the order last
yeah,
week.
yeah, exactly. So for you, what is the best way to support your business when it comes to buying beans and stuff? Is it going into the store, ordering online, supporting a retailer? How best do you interact with that? Like, what is
That's
best for
really-
your business?
That's a good question. I mean, ultimately, what's best for my business is if there's a pound of coffee on everyone's kitchen shelf. That's
Yeah.
what I want.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily
Care how they get it?
I do and I don't. I want to say that I want people to go to who's wholesaling my beans or retailing
Yeah,
my
yeah.
beans, because that just kind of grows the base.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Yeah.
Something that we started that you weren't here for is me and my wife are doing the Metchosin Farmers Market.
Yeah, no, you mentioned that.
Did I?
Yeah, you
Okay,
did.
so
Yeah.
that's going really well.
Yeah.
And that's something, if I can put a shameless plug in, because you're asking.
Yeah. That's a great way to
That's
support
a
you. 'cause
great
you
way to support me,
maximize-
because you
yeah.
get to talk to me about
Yeah.
coffee. You get to you get
talk
to
about how you're
talk
doing
about-
it, how you're
Yeah.
brewing it, and what's the best way to do it, and with beans, and where they're from, and
Yeah, exactly. And it's just
taste profiles.
me and my wife hanging out at the farmers market, talking to our neighbors, being part of the community, and I get to talk coffee, which is great.
awesome. How often you do, like? I guess.
It's every Sunday from 11 till 2.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a short market.
Yeah.
I don't have cups of coffee,
Yeah.
which I love.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you don't have to deal with
no
no
setup.
cleanup, no setup.
The setup is like, put the
Yeah.
coffee on the table,
Yeah.
put the tent up, we're done.
Yeah.
5 minutes on both sides. It's great.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's really good. And I've been really enjoying it. It was supposed to be something that my family was going to do on my behalf.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to have to work it on Sundays. But
But as family goes,
I've been there every single Sunday.
yeah, of course.
And you know what? I do it humbly
Yeah.
and graciously,
Yeah.
and I appreciate the opportunity to be there so that I can be talking.
What
to
is it?
people
How
in
much
Chosin.
is it? Like, how much does it cost to go enter? Is there a
As
fee?
a vendor?
Yeah.
Oh, the Metchosin Market's awesome. It's like $20.
Oh,
a day.
amazing. Yeah, amazing.
It's
Yeah.
like half the price of anywhere else,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
And it's a small group of vendors, lots
Yeah.
of great produce and plants.
Lots
and-
of collaboration and
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. There's
Yeah.
there's a chocolate person. There's lots of crafty people making things, but there's also farms with plants, seeds, produce.
Oh,
and
amazing.
as the season goes, like we've been doing it since May, so the
Yeah.
first couple were like short on produce.
Yeah. Of
'Cause
course, the season.
Everyone was just had carrots.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
And but they had lots of starter plants. So you see all the farmers coming out with their starters.
Yeah.
So people could buy those. And now they're switching from starters to more produce and what's
Yeah.
fresh. And it's growing and growing and growing. And by the end of the fall, that market is going to have some of the best food on the island.
Oh yeah,
It's
fresh. and-
amazing.
Yeah. Oh,
You got
interesting.
lamb from
Yeah.
from Perry Bay.
Yeah.
I think it's Perry Bay, and fresh pig, and like there's some great stuff out
Yeah,
there
cool.
to see, and it's a great way to.
And
pick
where
up a
where
pound of
is it? Like where do they hold the Metchosin Market?
coffee. Right in the town center, if that's what you call it.
Yeah.
Just right beside the fire hall.
Okay.
There's the fire hall, and behind the fire hall is the city hall or the municipal hall, and on that property is the
So basically,
the
city
grounds.
land, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a great little
Yeah.
place. They got structures. They got a band that usually plays, or
Yeah.
individuals. There's always music. Yeah, it's just really fun. There's food you can eat.
I love
food you
it.
can
Well,
buy to
I'm
take home.
gonna. I may not come. Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe
Well,
I come this
evidently,
Sunday.
whatever Sunday you do come, I'm going to be there.
You'll be there. I'll be able to see you.
On my 6th day of
Oh,
work.
yeah. Well, this is the life we've chosen.
It sure is,
Yeah.
but I've been loving my garden.
Yeah.
That's been a real highlight this year. I grew everything from seed this
Oh,
year
awesome.
for the first time.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm normally the guy with bins of like starter plants.
Yeah.
Pops them all in and like half them fail.
Because you didn't do it right.
I didn't do it
Yeah.
right. Or
Yeah.
they didn't do it right and I didn't transplant
Yeah.
right. But seeds,
It's hard to screw up seeds.
I can't believe how good my garden looks.
Yeah.
Our garden, because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not just
yeah.
mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun and everything's growing up just ducky right now.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Have you don't have a big garden, do you? You've got a little one?
No, well, yeah, it's just a flower.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one we inherited when we bought our property. And we've maintained it, I guess. I mean,
But have you got plans to grow veg or
yeah,
garden
well,
or
we have
anything
fruit
fun?
trees,
Okay.
apple, and we got blueberries
Oh,
in the forest, kind of behind our
are,
house.
are they all popping right now? Because this is blueberry season.
Is it?
Yeah, you should go.
I need to
look
go.
at them.
Why? I'm like, we discovered them maybe 2 years ago.
Oh, they're
and
like literally out in the
yeah, they're
trees.
wild. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, somebody planted them, obviously, I would think, but yeah, and we have what are all these blue, and I'm like, blueberries.
Oh,
So when my nieces were here, they just caught these big buckets of blueberries. Which are
Yeah.
awesome. So
Well,
that reminds me, I need to get out there and
it is blueberry
there.
season right
Yeah.
now.
Oh, good.
I've got a couple blueberry plants, and they're all
yeah,
doing great right now. But if you go down Oldfield Road,
yeah,
out towards Keating,
yeah.
there's quite a few blueberry farms out that way, and they're all in a row, kind of. And so if the listeners want fresh blueberries and they hear this in time, get out to Oldfield Road
And you just pull over and pick them.
Yeah, there's ones you can pick, or you can buy them in the flats.
Yeah. Oh, so they're selling. It's a business for somebody.
Yeah,
out there.
well,
Okay.
there's quite a few of them, like
Yeah.
in a row. So there's this great stretch of road where
It's blueberry heaven.
it's
on
like
Oldfield
blueberry
Road.
heaven. Yeah, it's amazing. And I go by every day all year.
Yeah.
So I watch how they treat their blueberries,
Yeah.
and when they prune them, then I go back home and I
Yeah,
prune mine.
yeah.
And they put mulch on the bottom of theirs. I
Yeah,
go put mulch on the bottom of
That's
mine.
like it.
And my blueberries are really good this year.
I love it. I love
And
it.
and most of my garden is totally fertilized by coffee.
Oh, amazing.
I've been collecting coffee and coffee chaff now for a couple of years, and every year I put in a huge pile along with like grass
Well, and you have
clippings
access
and
to the
stuff.
raw material. So
I
that's
do, yeah.
cool.
So I get coffee grounds that
Yeah.
I get from making cold brew.
Yeah.
So I get big buckets of them, and they're just pure and
Yeah.
coarse. And I get the chaff, which is the skin that comes off the green beans when you cook them.
Yeah.
So it's light and brown and crunchy.
Yeah.
And man, the worms just
Love
love
it.
it.
Yeah.
Like I can picture them rubbing their soft little bodies up
Yeah,
against
it's
this
like, man,
scratchy
this is
chaff
awesome.
and like,
Yeah.
oh, come on guys, let's go. And all of a sudden you get all these worms and so this last year I finally had like a mostly coffee patch of compost, and I spread it everywhere. Everything's growing great. And I know coffee is like high acid, and not all plants like it, but I don't know, man.
You found the secret.
So far, I've had good luck with coffee
amazing.
compost.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So if anyone wants more information on coffee compost, you can hit me up.
Yeah, you can start selling bags, compost bags in the store.
No,
the revenue stream.
I would rather just tell people how to do it.
I love that.
themselves.
Yeah. Don't make a business out of it.
Yeah, and then they can come get coffee grounds from me because I always have them.
Yeah, that's a
Like,
great.
and then I don't have to throw them out.
Yeah,
I
you
can
pay to
only
throw
take,
them out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can only take so much
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys want to learn about coffee composting, talk to me and
I
come
love
pick up
it.
some grounds.
Yeah, and you can do that at the Machosa Market.
You can come talk to me
Sundays
there.
from 11 till 2.
Oh wow, and maybe they'll see you out there.
You
That
will
would
see
be
me out there
nice.
at some point.
That'd be great.
Yeah, maybe not this Sunday, but maybe the next. Oh no, I'm in Kamloops next Sunday. Maybe the Sunday after.
There's a guy out there, just to intrigue you to come out for sure. There's a guy out there, and they're freeze drying all this candy. and the freeze-dry ice cream bars.
Oh, interesting.
Whole ice cream bars that you can buy in a package for $5. You get this freeze-dried ice cream bar. The best. It's more ice cream bar than a real ice cream bar.
So freeze-dried.
So they like kind of vacuum freeze-dry it. So it's a whole ice cream bar that's just a little bit smaller because it's being shrunk.
But you've got to keep it cold.
No, you don't. No, it's like dry.
This is what I'm trying to freaking
it's like,
get at.
You've had like berries that have been freeze-dried, right?
Yes. They're
They're hard, dry, light,
yeah.
and you can keep them forever.
So all the moisture's out of them. Oh, yeah.
So it's just flavor.
I got
and they kind of break and, they're so good. So anyway, they're out there, and they're fabulous.
I love it.
Another local success story.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
I think they're doing really well with that, too. And the whole reason they're doing it, people that no one knows, but you should know these guys, because they're doing it. They just had a little baby, and they really want to be at home with their baby.
I love it. So they created their own business.
They don't want to do daycare. They don't want to do anything. They just want to be home with their kids. So they're finding all these little things that they're niches to do to support themselves.
And they're at the Pachosa Market.
They are so
done. I'm there. I'm going to support them.
Yeah, stock up on freeze-dried ice cream bars.
So we've gone like an hour and a half long first part. This is what happens when we don't see each other for 6 weeks.
I know. And then we're going to go for lunch and talk another 4 or 5 hours.
God.
Oh, wait.
No, not this time. Next week. Next week's lunch.
Are we? Are we doing lunch next week?
We're doing that lunch next week.
I was only kidding about lunch this week.
Yeah, next week lunch.
Okay.
Because we're going to have Kristen and Marianne on.
Oh,
and talk about local business restaurant issues.
Oh, can I play my game with them next week?
Yeah, you can ask some questions, and we're gonna have fun.
Okay, sounds.
So that'll be next Wednesday, and then we'll do this again. We're back, baby. I don't know what season this is. Season 6 or 7 or something like that. We're like Survivor.
I totally listen to the podcast that comes out every day, and they do weekly seasons, so they're on like season 340.
I like it. Well, maybe this year we'll actually do some prep and be. We don't want to do that.
Man, just stop talking.
Yeah,
about
why?
That.
I mean,
why make this like work?
No, exactly. This is fun.
No, I agree though that a little bit of forethought and into our guests maybe. More guests.
Yeah, we're gonna have more guests this year, and
they're great.
Love it. So if anybody, just message in the bottom if you know of anybody you want to talk to, and we'll see if we can get them on the show.
Yeah. Oh yeah, suggestions.
Yes.
Please.
Yes. 100 suggestions. We know people, but we need more suggestions.
Yeah, our people are just our people. We want your people.
Yeah, we want your people. Who do you want to talk to? Who do you want us to interview? And then we'll go from there.
Sounds great.
All right, Sam.
Calen, it was a real pleasure to sit across the table from you again.
Be real kind.
I will. You be really nice.
Cheers, Sam.
Bye.
Bread and Butter Collective's membership includes the following local businesses: 2% Jazz, Bunny's Kitchen, Buzz Coffee House, Eagle-Ite, Big Wheel Burger, Blue Mountain Solutions, Bodega Tapas Wine Bar, Eva Schnitzel House, Farmsgate Foods and Catering, Victoria Chocolate and Company, Drum Roaster Coffee, Habit Coffee, Foo Asian Street Food, the Culinary Arts Program at Camosun, Cafe Fantastico, Fall Epi, Harold Street Brewworks, Hey Happy, House of Botang, Nikkei Ramen Ya, Jenny Marie's Cracker Company, La Pasta, La Rue Patisserie, Mocha House, Part and Parcel, Poco a Pinto Bar, Pizzeria Prima Strada, Keating Pizza, Roast, Table 9 Consulting, Sherwood Cafe and Bar, Sweets by Selena, The Collective Wine Bar and Kitchen, The Drake, Tapa Bar, The Nimble Bar Company, Ruth and Dean, The Whole Beast, The Wienery, Spoon's Diner, Truffles Inspired Catering, and Zambries.
To hear more from the Bread and Butter Collective, go to checknews.ca/podcasts on Check Plus, or find us on your favorite podcasting platform.